Thanks for coming out today. I want to thank Governor Gary Herbert for bringing us together for this walk through the neighborhood and introduce, of course, our Jess Anderson, Director of Department of Public Safety for the state of Utah, Senator Luz Escamilla, Representative Sandra Hollins. We have Corky and Richard from the Rose Park Community Council, who are both leaders in the community here. Carlton Christensen with UTA, but he wears a second hat as the stake president here at the Rose Park Stake Center. And of course, Council Member James Rogers, whose district we're in today. We saw devastation that is indiscriminate. It's swept through the city. It's like a tornado without a path, and it's caused destruction inside of people's homes, obviously on our streets, our sidewalks, in people's yards and front yards and backyards. Every resident seems to have been impacted in some way, and we were grateful, I think, to meet with many of the residents who happened to be out on our walk today. I think the important part of what you're seeing with the group standing here is that we come together, and we're going to come together not only to replant trees in the future, but to help this neighborhood and to help neighborhoods across Salt Lake City, help residents have a path to recover. These are financial hardships that are befalling our community, and we can come together in a way that serves our residents so we can keep going and keep growing as the capital city. I know we're going to replant the trees. By the end of this year, Salt Lake City will plant 1,000 new and additional trees on Salt Lake City's west side. This storm sets us back a little bit, but I know that our commitment to planting trees and growing our urban forest is strong. What's even stronger is our commitment to helping the residents here. So I'll turn the time over to Governor Gary Herbert, and thank you again for being here today.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I'm honored to be here with all these great leaders we have behind us here as we have surveyed the situation here in Rose Park. We've had the opportunity today and yesterday to some extent to look at some of the damage throughout the Wasatch Front. And of course, it's probably, the size is almost stunning. When you think that we've got damage from as far north as Logan, damage as far south as St. George, the width of Wasatch Front, some on the Wasatch back. It's incredible. It's a little bit like deja vu because we had 9 years ago a similar kind of storm. Hurricane Category 1 force winds, not only 9 years ago, but this time now. And as you see the devastation, it is pretty stunning to see what's taking place to people's properties and obviously impacting people's lives. So as the mayor said, we've got to find ways that we can help people to help themselves. And I appreciate the fact that in our communities we have a lot of volunteer work that's happening, and without government compulsion, they're out there just helping their neighbor, which is really the culture of Utah. We lead the nation in volunteerism. We see an example of this taking place. We appreciate the fact that people are trying to be good neighbors and help those who are less fortunate that need a helping hand. And I can tell you, government can't do it all. We can do some things, but we can't do it all, and it will take a lot longer if we have to rely on government only. So I'm very appreciative of the people that have stepped up and are saying, I can help my neighbor and get the process going. And we see that like busy little anthill today. I know my staff has said to me this morning, this is so 2020. We've had so many issues. I mean, it just keeps coming at us, and it's proven the mettle of the people of Utah, their resiliency, their determination to conquer and overcome, adapt to the circumstances we have today, and will achieve, I think, great success. It's the refining fire that makes us all maybe a little bit better in our character. It shows the true nature of what we believe here in the state and helping others and helping our neighbors. So I appreciate those who have stepped up. I also want to say to those who've lost property, you know, we are concerned about that. We are concerned about you, and we want to make sure we can help you get back on your feet. We're going to start the assessment evaluation of the loss throughout the state. This will allow us, in fact, to make petitions to FEMA. We have cities that have declared an emergency, some counties, 5 counties, I think. Commissioner Anderson can give us the numbers on that. But I'm here to declare to you today that I'm going to declare a state of emergency today for the statewide issue on this windstorm Category 1 hurricane type winds. And so we'll get that process going, which will help us access not only state funds, but help us access federal funds to help in this unique and challenging time. I'd just like to counsel the people of Utah to be careful and be safe. There are circumstances out there that probably are beyond your skill level. We need to have professionals, like if we have down fallen power lines. That's something we need to have Rocky Mountain Power and others come in and help out with. We have now about 106,000 as of this morning at least that's still without power out of 170,000. We think that'll probably cut in half today, and then maybe the other half hopefully tomorrow in the next 48 hours have power restored to everybody. But we do want volunteers. We want people to step up and help, but just be careful. We were concerned about people rushing out yesterday when we still had the storm going, but it's calmed down now. Now's a great time to go out and with your community leaders to find places where you can help and make things better. So again, this is really a team effort. You see here the state and the county and the cities, the community leaders and church leaders coming together to say we can work together and resolve this problem. So I'm very optimistic about the future. I appreciate the good people of Utah and what they're doing as we get through this additional challenge here of 2020, and we'll do it. In a couple of weeks, we won't even know what will happen. That's what I believe. So with that, I want to have Jess Anderson, our Commissioner of Public Safety, to talk about what's happening from a statewide basis.
Well, thank you, Governor and Mayor. Great to be with you. From a statewide perspective, of course, we're looking at here in Salt Lake today, but knowing that this has impacted across, as Governor mentioned, at least five counties, from Salt Lake all the way up into Logan and Cache County, from what we're tracking and what we're aware of. Unfortunately, with what we have been able to contribute to this particular storm yesterday, we have one fatality that was a cause from this storm. We have some who were injured, and though minor injuries that have also occurred. But tracking that, the fortunate part is that most of the damage is limited to property damage, much of which we would ask you to seek out your own local insurance companies and homeowners insurance to be able to first address what those needs might be as repairs and recovery begins. We do have two counties, both Salt Lake and Davis County, that have issued a county emergency declaration, and we've got, as of right now, 7 cities, municipalities who have also issued an emergency declaration that feed into now, as Governor's mentioned, the state declaration, emergency declaration. That again just opens up avenues and opportunities for further assistance, both physically, state resources, but also fiscal, financial wise, and any sort of aid that might come both from the state and as we now approach the federal government and work through FEMA on some of these issues. So with that, we too would just say, from a public safety standpoint, be careful. Make sure that as you do the cleanup efforts to be safe in that endeavor. These trees are heavy. They are particularly, there's no way of guessing which way they may fall, but just be super careful as you continue to do the cleanup. And we do it the Utah way. We have volunteers that are willing to pitch in and come together and helping out. All of our first responders, and as well as other private sector that are coming together to help the cleanup effort. So with that, Governor, thank you.
Senator Escamilla and Representative Hall, would you like to speak?
We would like to first of all thank the Governor for coming out and doing an assessment of our community. As the Governor said earlier, it's going to take all of us together, working together to get this cleaned up. We understand the impact and the devastation that this has had, and all of the work that needs to be done. But myself and Senator Escamilla, we are committed to working with the Governor and working with the Mayor to try to assess the situation and to also work towards trying to restore our community back to where it was, and cleaning up the trees out the area and making the area back safe again.
Yeah, I just want to add that we see this as an opportunity, also a partnership with the state and obviously the city. And we've been through a lot between a pandemic, an earthquake, and now this that we know is going to require the help also of the state. And we're heading towards an interim meetings next week. We're going to come and talk to our leadership teams as well in the state legislature, and hoping to bring some support to the cities that have been devastated, like Salt Lake City. And as ourselves, some of us don't have power in our homes, or we're still doing cleanup in our own homes, so we know this is affecting families, children that haven't been able to go back to school. We just want to make sure that we are here as a team, and we are the Utah team, and we're excited for the opportunity to work together again and restore the opportunity to have as normal as it looks like in 2020. So we want to make sure people know that we're here to work as partners with the city and with the state. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak? Community leaders, church?
I'll follow you, Carl.
Speaking for the private sector, James, coming in, council member.
I just want to just reiterate that this is a neighborhood that has always been dependent on each other, and one of the things you learn after an experience like this, not only do you learn all your neighbors, but you become long-lasting friends. And I think as we rebuild this community, it was each of these trees were planted by the original homeowners. There weren't any trees here to begin with. It just is a reminder that we'll start again, and that this will be a strong place for us to be neighbors and to support one another. And we're grateful for the city and the state and for the help that they've brought to our community.
I just want to echo what Carlton said. It's interesting that the governor talked about banding together. Well, you have a lot of second-generation people living here, and some have moved out. But as we came together, there were so many former residents and family members that came and banded together, and it's just a great, unique neighborhood and community, and the residents banded together. We're hard workers, and we're not afraid to go to work, and that's exactly what you did. You could see that the majority of the streets that were cleared were done by residents. They were out there busting their butts to make sure that happened. So I'm grateful for those residents, and they'll continue to do it. But if there's help that needs to be had, we need to get it. There's still so many trees down on the streets that need to be taken out, that people are still having a hard time getting around in the neighborhood. We've been affected really, really hard. So I'm grateful for the governor to be here, for the mayor, and for our state leaders, and we'll continue to band together. Thanks.
Thank you, James. I think the point, too, is that we see out of tough circumstances, good things can happen. And that's the Utah way. We take a difficult situation, we're going to band together. Maybe we start out as strangers, but we'll end up as friends. And we're going to be able to get past this and have a brighter day, and we'll learn along the way and build our character along with the adversity we face. So with that, we'll open up for questions. If you have any questions from the press, we're happy to take any questions.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
How long do you think the power will be back on in the Rose Park area?
We're doing an evaluation of that. I think the power we hope will be on the next 48 hours.
Governor, some areas do have power. There are small pockets of Rose Park that have power.
They've come
Okay,
back on,
for the
yeah.
Rose Park, yeah, I know power went on where I'm at the mansion here late last night. I just came from Davis County. They still are without power in many places there still too. But as I say, we started out with 170,000 without power. We were down to 106,000 about 10 o'clock this morning. Hopefully that'll be halved, and I don't know what order it's going to happen, but Rocky Mountain Power is, all hands on deck effort. So they're working as fast as they can. Yes, sir.
Governor, some members of the Hispanic community doesn't have insurance in their homes, and they're struggling because they have a lot of damage. There's going to be any help from the government to help to fix those homes?
We hope so. It's a little uncertain right now. That's why we have insurance. It takes care of the private sector. FEMA will help us with the government sector if we have damage to government property. And I know that we're working with the legislature. There's been talk as we walked around the block here to see, does the state have a role to step up in partnership with the city and maybe the county and putting some money out there to help with some of these difficult circumstances. So that's yet to be determined, and it's a matter of what the legislature is willing to do, what the city council and the Salt Lake and county commission and council, the county mayor and council, county, we'll see what we can do to interface with the federal government. That's something we'll be working on over the next few weeks. Any other question? We'll answer them all for you. One last question.
Yeah, if you could put a price tag on the damage, I know it's so preliminary, but what are we thinking, even just from surveying it now?
It's a lot. It's a lot. We had a lot of damage done in 1991, or excuse me, 2001, 9 years ago. We had a lot of damage. This is probably 5 times as large. So it's, street after street with trees everywhere. And it's happened at a time when the trees are in foliage, which catches more wind and tips them over easier. We've lost about 11 trees at the Capitol. We lost a couple at the mansion. That my own backyard, I see what's happened. So it's going to be a lot of damage. We haven't had a lot of structural damage, comparatively speaking, a lot of landscape and debris. We're talking about what we can do to activate National Guard help. On the state level, we're seeing what we can do, maybe activating UDOT with some of their equipment, to partner with the city and the counties and see what we can do, the cities throughout, to see if we can eliminate, or at least pick up the debris quicker. And I think that partnership is going to help us get done a lot sooner than otherwise. So I'm very optimistic about getting things done in the next couple of weeks. All right, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.